What your family tree was haunted by a pattern of mysterious deaths, all at the same age, all ruled accidental. When a woman's search for her roots uncovers a cursed heirloom, she must decide if she can break the cycle before it claims her too. The first time Nora saw the pattern, she thought it was a coincidence. She'd always been fascinated by her family's history, spending weekends in dusty libraries and late nights scrolling through genealogy websites. Her grandmother's attic was a treasure trove of old letters, faded photographs, and brittle birth certificates. But as she pieced together the branches of her family tree, a chilling realization crept in. Too many of her ancestors had died at the exact same age, 33. The records all said accident, but the details were vague. A fall down the stairs. A fire. A sudden illness. The more Nora looked, the more the pattern repeated, stretching back generations. Her curiosity turned to obsession. She mapped out the deaths on a timeline, highlighting each one in red. The line glowed like a warning, pulsing through the decades. Nora's own mother had died at 33, a car crash that was never fully explained. Her great-aunt, her great-grandfather, even a cousin she'd never met, all gone at the same age, all under mysterious circumstances. Nora was 29. The number loomed over her like a storm cloud. One afternoon, while sorting through a box of her grandmother's things, Nora found a small, velvet-lined case. Inside was a silver locket, tarnished with age, its surface engraved with a twisting vine. She'd seen it before, in old family photos, always worn by the women who died young. Tucked beneath the locket was a folded note, for the next to wear it. "Beware the roots that poison." Nora's hands trembled as she fastened the locket around her neck, feeling its weight settle against her skin. She didn't believe in curses, but she couldn't ignore the fear curling in her chest. Nora's nights became restless. She dreamed of women in old-fashioned dresses, their faces blurred, their hands clutching the silver locket. In her dreams, they whispered warnings she couldn't quite hear. She woke each morning with the locket tangled in her hair, her heart pounding. Determined to understand the heirloom's history, Nora dove deeper into her research. She traced the locket's journey through the family, from her great-great-grandmother, who'd brought it from Ireland, to her own mother, who'd worn it the night she died. She visited her grandmother, hoping for answers. The old woman's eyes clouded with fear when she saw the locket. "Take it off, Nora," she whispered. "It's brought nothing but sorrow." But when pressed, her grandmother grew silent, her lips pressed into a thin line. "Some things are better left forgotten," she said, refusing to say more. Frustrated, Nora turned to the local historical society. There, she found a faded newspaper clipping from 1892. "Tragedy strikes O'Malley family, young bride dies on wedding night." The bride's name was Bridget O'Malley, Nora's ancestor. The article mentioned a family heirloom, a silver locket, found clasped in the bride's hand. The cause of death was listed as unknown. Nora's skin prickled. The locket was more than a keepsake, it was a thread connecting every tragedy in her bloodline. Determined to break the silence, Nora tracked down her great-aunt Maeve, the family's unofficial historian. Maeve lived alone in a rambling house filled with relics and secrets. She greeted Nora with a wary smile, her gaze lingering on the locket. "You shouldn't have brought that here," she said, ushering Nora inside. Over tea, Maeve told the story the family never spoke aloud. The locket, she explained, was a wedding gift to Bridget O'Malley from a jilted suitor, a man rumored to have dabbled in dark magic. When Bridget died, the locket was passed to her sister, who also died young. Each woman who wore it met a tragic end at 33. "It's a curse, Nora," Maeve said, her voice trembling. "A poison that seeps through the bloodline. Your mother tried to destroy it, but it always finds its way back." Nora listened, torn between disbelief and dread. She asked Maeve why no one had ever tried to break the curse. Maeve shook her head. "We tried. We burned it, buried it, even threw it in the river. But it always returns. The only way to break the curse is to face the truth, to find the root of the poison and cut it out." Nora left Maeve's house with more questions than answers, the locket heavy against her chest. As the weeks passed, Nora began to notice strange things. The locket grew colder each day, its surface slick with condensation even in the summer heat. She started seeing shadows in the corners of her vision, hearing whispers in empty rooms. Her friends noticed her growing anxiety, but Nora brushed off their concerns. She became obsessed with the locket, unable to take it off even when she tried. It was as if it had fused to her skin. One night, Nora woke to find herself standing in the garden, barefoot and shivering, the locket glowing faintly in the moonlight. She had no memory of leaving her bed. The next morning, she found a trail of dead flowers where she'd walked. The fear that had been simmering inside her boiled over. She called Maeve, desperate for help. Maeve urged her to return the locket to its original resting place, the ruins of the old O'Malley estate, now a crumbling foundation in the woods. The curse began there, Maeve said. Maybe it can end there. Nora agreed, but as she made plans to visit the estate, she felt the locket tighten around her neck, as if resisting her decision. She realized the curse was not just a story, it was alive, and it did not want to be broken. Nora set out for the O'Malley estate with Maeve by her side. The woods were thick and tangled, the path overgrown with brambles. As they walked, Maeve recited prayers in Irish, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. The ruins appeared at last, a moss-covered foundation, the stones cold and slick beneath their feet. Nora felt the locket pulse against her skin, its chill seeping into her bones. They found the spot where Bridget O'Malley had been buried, a weathered headstone half swallowed by earth. Maeve instructed Nora to dig a small hole and place the locket inside. As Nora knelt, the air grew heavy, the wind howling through the trees. She whispered a plea for forgiveness, for freedom from the curse. The locket glowed, then dimmed, its light fading as Nora covered it with soil. For a moment, the woods were silent. Then, a sudden gust of wind knocked Maeve to the ground. Nora rushed to help her, but Maeve's eyes were wide with terror. "It's not over," she gasped. "The curse is deeper than the locket. It's in the blood." Nora realized with horror that burying the locket was only the beginning. The true root of the curse was still hidden, waiting to be unearthed. Back home, Nora pored over every document, letter, and photograph she could find. She traced the family tree, searching for the moment the curse began. She discovered that Bridget's jilted suitor, Declan Byrne, had been accused of poisoning not just Bridget, but several other women in the village. The deaths had all been ruled accidental, but whispers of revenge and dark rituals lingered in the records. Nora found a diary belonging to Bridget's sister, detailing her fear of Declan and the strange illnesses that plagued the family after Bridget's death. The diary ended abruptly, the last entry a desperate plea: "If you find this, beware the locket. The poison is not in the silver, but in the promise made in blood." Nora realized the curse was more than a physical object. It was a legacy of betrayal, revenge, and broken promises. The locket was a symbol, but the true poison was the unresolved pain passed down through generations. Nora knew she had to confront the past, to break the cycle once and for all. Nora returned to Maeve, sharing her discoveries. Together, they decided to hold a ritual of forgiveness at Bridget's grave, inviting the spirits of the women who had died. They gathered at midnight, lighting candles and reciting prayers. Nora spoke aloud the names of her ancestors, asking for their forgiveness and promising to break the chain of pain. As the ritual ended, a cold wind swept through the graveyard. Nora felt a presence behind her, a woman's voice, soft and sorrowful, whispering, "Thank you." The locket, buried in the earth, glowed one last time before fading forever. Nora felt a weight lift from her shoulders, the fear that had haunted her finally easing. Maeve hugged her, tears streaming down her face. "You did it, Nora. You broke the curse." But Nora knew the journey was not over. She still had to live her life, to prove that the past no longer held power over her. She vowed to honor her ancestors by living fully, without fear. In the months that followed, Nora felt a new sense of freedom. She reconnected with family members she'd never met, sharing the story of the curse and the ritual that had broken it. Some were skeptical, others grateful. Nora started a family history project, collecting stories and photographs, determined to preserve the truth for future generations. She wore the locket's chain as a bracelet, a reminder of the strength it took to face the past. The nightmares faded, replaced by dreams of hope and possibility. Nora found joy in small things: gardening, painting, laughing with friends. She realized that the true legacy of her family was not the curse, but the resilience that had carried them through generations of pain. Nora's story inspired others to confront their own family secrets, to break the cycles of silence and shame. She spoke at local events, encouraging people to trace their roots and face the truths hidden in their histories. The poison in her bloodline had been transformed into a source of strength. A year after breaking the curse, Nora returned to the O'Malley estate. The woods were lush and green, the air filled with birdsong. She visited Bridget's grave, leaving a bouquet of wildflowers and a note of gratitude. She felt a sense of peace, knowing the curse had ended with her. Nora decided to leave the locket buried, its story told but its power gone. She planted a tree at the site, a symbol of new beginnings and the healing of old wounds. As the tree grew, Nora watched her family thrive, cousins marrying, children born, no more deaths at 33. The family gathered for a reunion, celebrating their shared history and the breaking of the curse. Nora looked around at the smiling faces, grateful for the chance to build a future free from fear. The poisoned roots had been healed, and the family tree could finally grow strong. Years later, Nora sat with her own daughter, telling her the story of the locket and the curse. She spoke of the women who had come before, of the pain and the strength that had shaped their family. She taught her daughter to honor the past, but not to be bound by it. The locket's chain, now a simple bracelet, gleamed on Nora's wrist. She wore it as a symbol of survival, a reminder that the power to break the cycle was always within her. Nora's daughter listened with wide eyes, then hugged her mother tight. As Nora looked out at the family gathered in her garden, she felt a sense of peace. The curse was gone, the roots healed. The legacy she passed on was not one of fear, but of hope, courage, and freedom. If you believe in the power to break family cycles and heal old wounds, share this story with someone who needs hope. What would you do if you discovered a curse in your family tree? Let us know in the comments below.